Call the regular meeting of the North Augusta Board of Zoning Appeals, October 3rd, 2023. Call the roll, please.
Kevin Skaggs.
Wes Summers.
Jim Newman.
We're not 100% sure, but we think Commissioner Burkhalter will not make it tonight. Okay, so call the roll. We've had everybody get a copy of the minutes. You looked at them. Any adds or changes to them?
Yes, I have a couple.
Okay. And you're not even my school teacher.
That's right.
I wasn't here, so I couldn't make it.
It's on page 5, up at the top. The second condition, where it says a crest for internal illumination was denied. Nowhere do we say why it was denied, so I'd like to add was denied due to no unnecessary hardship. Correct. Also, a typo at the very end, right before it adjourns, item 3, it is a Hardy board-like product, not Hearty board light. H-A-R-D-I-E board, L-I-K-E. That's all.
Okay. Any other?
No, sir.
Do I have a motion that we approve them with the changes?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
So moved. Okay. Yeah, we can. You may have to stand up. Make mine higher. Maybe the next time they appoint people, they look for tall folks.
All right.
Thanks, Kevin.
Okay. First item is item number 5, which is ZV 23-010. It's a request by CSRA Development Company for a variance from a minimum lot width in Table 3.3 dimensional standards of Article 3 zoning districts of the North Augusta Development Code. The application affects a future townhome development on approximately 9.84 acre parcel off East Buena Vista Avenue. Tax parcel number 007-15-03-002, proposed to be zoned R7, small lot, single-family residential. We'll have a public hearing for the purpose of hearing and receiving any public comments, and then we'll have a consideration of the application. So at this time, I will open up the public hearing. Mr. Paradise, what would you like to tell us about this, please?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. This is 9.84 acres, plus or minus. It's located next to the apartments. They're on East Buena Vista, kind of sandwiched in between where they were going to build the public safety headquarters at and the apartments there. It's long and it's slender, and it is currently zoned R10. The rezoning request is currently before City Council. It was approved last night on first reading. If you approved the variance, it would be conditioned upon or contingent upon the second reading passing. We're just trying to move the application along in a timely manner. This is not an uncommon variance. Apparently, this is one that y'all have seen before. The lot width is 40 feet in the R7. They're asking for R7 so that they wouldn't be allowed to build apartments should something go south. One of the things, gives you an idea of where the parcel's at. The apartments is to my right. A little bit about the floor plan and what their elevations. The interior, and the applicants can speak to this a lot better than I can. But this has been a tough, this has some challenges for development, especially with the power line coming through there. And this is what the ultimate vision is, I should say, that they've talked with us about. One of the things that staff was pretty insistent on was a way out. I always refer to it as a back door. They looked at several different ways, and they were actually able to track down the owner that owns the parcel between Elm Street and where that stub out is. And so as part of this development, that stub out will connect with Elm Street. So that helps the city with connectivity for both Elm Street and this subdivision. It's a win-win for both. But basically, it comes back down to fitting in single-family attached housing in the R7 because we don't want to zone anything R5.
Let me ask you this. I don't think it does, but this does not incorporate or encompass the vacant parcel right there on Riverside Drive, does it? The where we had a bridge there that was supposed to be up at the Greenway, and it probably is now.
Right, the famous vacant lot where the city stores stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, ma'am, this does not involve that development. Those properties were bid out and sold. I don't believe they've closed. I don't know.
Storage property?
Yeah, all of that city.
Yeah, all of that was
All
city
that.
property. So the city sold that as surplus, but it is not a part of this plan.
I
It
didn't
may
think
be part
was.
of a future plan.
What is that piece that the city just sold? What's it zoned?
Public use.
So it would have to come back before somebody, us
Here.
or to the city, to get it.
It, depending on the use that goes there, but if it's, say, single-family attached, it'll have to be rezoned. Right now, the city does.
But I didn't know if.
But he
the
just
current-
said there'd been a contract on it, so it's not for public education yet, I guess.
Somebody had her hand up.
Well, we hadn't got to that.
Okay.
Good, thank you. I guess this keeps coming up, and I just keep wondering, and maybe you explain it to us every time, and I understand it then, now I don't understand it, but why do we seem to get the cart in front of the horse? Why don't we wait till this thing is rezoned and then get the necessary, has the planning commission, have they approved a plan of any kind there yet, or anything else?
No, sir, they're not gonna move forward with the design to go to the planning commission until they get the variance from you. If it was zoned R7, it would not go to the planning commission, and they would not do the design and the engineering cost till they were sure that they could get the variance. The reason we're running them in sync, so to speak, is time.
Is what?
It is time. Basically, you're reducing the development time on the project by a month.
Okay.
If we waited for the second reading of council, then they would have to get the application in before the next deadline. And then it'd be at least a month down the road before they would know that they can pull the trigger to start the engineering work. And I don't mean to speak for the developer. He can tell me I'm wrong, that they may already have it engineered. But typically, they don't want to do the investment, because that's in the engineering, till they get certain hurdles like zoning and the variance like this approved. I know I wouldn't. I think that's just good business. So that's why we're doing it that way, because part of the reason is whenever I was hired, part of what I was told to do is to be customer friendly. And this is part of being customer friendly and trying to move applications through the process. Not cut any corners, but move them through the process.
So it's less expensive to do this and hopefully for them get this approved than it is to do the engineering part and then it not be approved.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I do have a question, and maybe
Well,
this is not for us, but for,
Well,
I mean,
it'll be for Tommy.
that's what I mean, it's for
Yeah.
Tommy. But, is this in the new development code, the 40-foot wide lot requirement? Or is that in the old one?
We have not adopted the new development
Right.
code yet, so that is not in effect. It doesn't play, it doesn't have any impact on this
Right.
consideration. However, in the new development code, because of the number of variances for
Right, exactly.
for this, there is a footnote that would allow townhomes 24 feet wide in the R7 zoning district that would not require a variance. So we're addressing this issue in the new code, but we're not there
We're not
yet.
there yet, I understand.
This is the old
I just
code.
wanted to say, are we going to address it in the new code?
We-
Because it always comes up, and it would save us a lot of time and them, the developers, money if it's changed in the new code.
When you see repeated requests for variances,
Right.
it probably indicates a problem with the code. But this is something that we're looking at. The lot width for townhomes has been pretty controversial. You know, there's arguments on both sides, but basically the planning commission, when they had the public hearing and discussed it, came up with 24 feet. Now, that is subject to change.
Right.
The city council has sent that back to the planning commission, but right now it sits at 24 feet in the draft. But for this application, it
It's
doesn't
40 feet,
apply,
right.
and it's 40 feet.
I have a question, well, I'll ask the developer, okay?
Okay, we'll get to him in just a minute. Any other questions of Mr. Paradise right now? Okay, we'll ask the developer to step up, please.
Keith Lawrence, 211 Dixon Court, Evans, Georgia, 30809.
Raise your right hand, please.
Yes,
You
sir.
swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, sir, I do.
Thank you.
I'll answer a couple questions,
All right.
actually, that came before. It's actually one of the partners in the development company that's actually going to be purchasing that property from the county. And as part of this development, there's a right-of-way that's sandwiched between those second and third parcel that's up there. The reason that's there is for access to this parcel. So as part of this project, we'll be able to abandon the rights for that access so it can actually be developed in the future, which will leave a nice parcel on those, what will be 4 parcels in that side right there. So I'll just give you a heads up on that. We don't have anything, and of course, just as Tommy said, that is public use, so it has to be, it doesn't have a zoning. I don't know how that comes into as a zoning. I guess it just doesn't have a zone on it, so it'll have to go for a full zoning, correct?
Public
It is
use.
Zone P for public use.
Yeah.
That's a zoning class district, just like R7.
Okay, so it'll have to be rezoned on that side. Hopefully, I don't anticipate we'll be back before you. Let's put it that way. This particular board, we will be back before the planning commission. We're just requesting the variance to the front, to the width of the lots. We have tried our best to increase the lots where possible throughout the development. So we're not just asking for one size. We've tried to kind of give and take on there for some different widths on there. As best we can, increase them where possible. I think it's a great development for the city of North Augusta. What we're looking at is these townhomes. I think that's part. I think the challenge that you guys probably face is some people are looking to do these to keep them as cheap as possible. These townhomes will be $280,000 and above. It's a 2-story townhome on there. They do all have garages on that side. I know Tommy showed you the finishes, the granite countertops. These are nice townhomes on there. I think the challenge was when you look at the width is every foot of those lots costs about $1,200 to $1,400 per linear foot. So if you add, just say in this particular case, we have a 20-foot lot and you add another 20, you add another $24,000 to $30,000 in the lot price, which typically translates to 7 times that increase in the cost of the house on that side. So we've done our best on here. It's a challenging site which got retaining walls on the uphill and downhill side. And by doing the street widths and doing the lot widths on there allows us to be able to have a feasible project in that location. I do think the new ordinance, you won't see us again with the 24s. We won't be back in front of you. We try not to come back and ask for variances. I think the 24 is a very reasonable width, and hopefully Tommy's group and Planning Commission, City Council will be able to get that through on that side. You know, I think that the units will be great additions to the city of North Augusta. I think it's a great location. I think it's needed housing in that area. And I think that the biggest, I was working with the planner out of Memphis, and we were talking not about this project, but he uses the term attainable housing. And I think that the lot widths will allow us to make sure that's attainable housing, which keeps it like in like I said, the high 200s, the 280s and above on that side for, you know, first-time home buyers, young families, empty nesters, and that such like that. So we've kind of outlined in, I know in our plan where we have addressed the different items on there. I'm happy to answer any particular questions that you guys may have, though. Yes, sir.
Would it be, once it's developed, be visible from the bridge as you enter the city? See where it comes down?
No, I don't think so.
Okay,
Mac would probably know better.
No, it won't.
it won't,
You might have to put your hand up.
Yeah, tell us who you are first, please.
Mac Brazil, 4 Indian Rock Court, North Augusta, South Carolina.
Raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
The lots right here on Elm Street, there's 4 lots that are developed out on the right side, and then the left parcel's got a few bigger houses in it. You can see bits and pieces of those as you're coming into the city, but I don't believe you'll be able to see through them. There's not gonna be a whole lot of opening in there.
The other end of the project down by the golf course,
Yes, sir.
how close will you be building to that road?
Not very close. We're going to keep all those trees on the bottom side. This thing sits up. It's a pretty big bluff that goes down to the road. So we're not taking any trees out unless it's necessary for drainage. When I say that, we're not cutting any of the trees unless we had to bring a pipe down there to release stormwater. Our stormwater's actually at the top of the hill. You have a laser pointer by chance? That's about the top of the slope right there. Okay. Give you a ballpark idea. So this one tucks over just a little bit. But the distance, this right of way right here is 40 feet. So I'd say this distance is probably, I'd say it's probably 250 feet of woods on that side. So it really, Mr. Chairman, I wouldn't think that there'd be much visual impact at all to the golf course on that side.
So if I buy one of these in lots down there, I'm gonna have to really have some creative stuff to wind to come through to make me have a view, right? Okay, just want to check and make sure.
Yeah, unless you give us a variance and we'll cut all these trees down. But I don't think you might be able to have a better, I'll step over here. You might have a better view during the wintertime, be able to
Right.
tuck down there, but we're not selling golf course views on that side.
Now, let me ask you this.
Yes, ma'am.
Sykes Avenue, will your, point of entry be directly, and exit, if we only have one, be directly across from Sykes Avenue? I can't really figure that out.
Let me look at
It's
my GIS.
It's not,
No.
okay,
I'm not sure.
No, it's not close.
Okay.
okay.
It's not close at all.
Yeah, no, it actually fits with what you'd be looking for. You typically, most intersections should be a 200-foot offset
Right,
if they don't
okay.
line up, and so that one would meet that on that side. I will tell you, I know you asked that question about the planning commission. We did include this same concept plan with the rezoning before we went to planning commission on that side, on that side.
Okay, can you go back, Tommy, to the site plan? Okay, this is all these houses will be on slab, right?
Yes, sir.
And each one has a garage,
They do. Yes, sir.
all the on this, all the yellow, I guess, would be
That's actually the lot.
the lot itself, right?
So from the back of the buildings, of course, this will all be sodded.
Right.
In here, and there'll be sod and driveway on the front side. So it's shown with the kind of green color, but that's just to sort of stand out on the green space. But one thing that we do is wherever we have slopes, we revegetate them. We typically put pine seedlings in. We've had extremely good success that in 2, 3, 4 years, you've got a 6 to 8 foot pine tree. And I always tell this to everybody. I know this isn't y'all's side, but if anybody does development that doesn't reforest the slopes, they're missing out because it really makes a huge difference in about 3 to 4 years. And that's really what we look at is we may be gone, but we want communities that have an everlasting effect, but also not a negative effect to the surrounding properties at the same time.
Are you going to have a connection to the greenway from the development or down where it or normally access?
I think we'd have a sidewalk to Riverside Boulevard and on that side.
Yeah, I think interior to the subdivision, there would be sidewalks, and it'd come out to here, and then there's a sidewalk down,
Right.
and then they'd hit the bridge. Or
That
they
bridge
could go
been
out the
replaced?
back
Has
and
that
go down
bridge
there.
been replaced?
Yes, it has.
But the only other thing I'm not sure, is there a crosswalk there at Riverside?
I believe there is.
Okay. Yeah, we would access that. That we'd have absolutely no problem. Y'all have built, North Augusta's made a great investment in their greenway. So we would definitely want people to have access to that.
Go back, Tommy, to, back, right there, hold it right there. Let me tell you a concept that they're doing. Most, I call them duplexes, but that's sort of what these really are. They're putting the garages side by side, which completely isolates both houses like there's nobody there.
Yep.
Are you gonna have any of that in there?
We would have no problem if you wanted, the builders typically like the garage on the high side for drainage, but because there would be no problem if you wanted as part of the stipulation for the variance consideration for grouping of the garages, I don't think we'd have a problem with that at all.
I never have asked a question, but in New Hampshire, in Northampton, where my daughter and son-in-law live, every duplex that they've got,
Group like
a
that?
group like that. So
Wait.
they must have come up with some type of development code to put them together.
It helps with the driveways.
Well, it helps with the driveways, but it helps with any kind of, you don't know what your neighbor's doing every night either.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's true. You move the living
So
spaces.
anyway, that's, I'm getting off the track.
No,
I'm
but we would
sorry.
have no.
That is a good concept.
I would add that this is, multifamily use, and there's some architectural design in the development code that they have to meet. So, that's not one of them, but they will have to meet those guidelines.
But we have no problem if you guys would want that as a stipulation. If you wanted to consider it, if that was a possibility, then we'd have no problem with grouping those two there. Matter of fact,
You might want to look at a few of them, just see
Yeah.
how the concept goes. You may find it's a great selling point.
one of the builders actually mentioned it the other day about doing something similar to that. So I think it's a very reasonable idea.
Any other questions of,
Yes, I have a couple,
Okay.
maybe. The lots, who's gonna be maintaining the property? Are the homeowners gonna have to maintain their own front and back, or is there gonna be?
We typically do HOA,
And
maintains.
so HOA will maintain the whole property,
Yep.
including around the ponds and entranceways?
Yeah, we won't do a neighborhood unless we have an HOA. Matter of fact, for our purposes, we're stepping up the HOA manager's involvement in the communities because it doesn't take long for somebody to start, leaving the car out there, parking where they're not supposed to park, for it really to really drop the look of it. So we actually have pretty strict requirements on the HOA management. Full-time manager that's on there. We have a community association manager. We have a full-time association, and we're looking at one internally and hiring an additional person to make sure we hold everybody accountable to all the covenants and restrictions.
So the HOA will take care of all the grass cutting and edging and all that kind of
Yes, sir.
stuff? So is there sidewalks and lighting throughout the complex?
There is sidewalks. I'm assuming there's not a problem. I apologize for not knowing. As long as it's allowed, we'll be doing lighting, yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah,
Streetlights would be
Will be
required.
required.
yeah, we would definitely do those.
Fancy entryway, will there be a sign? Is there be a sign out front as well saying Hawks Vista?
There'll be a sign somewhere within y'all's ordinance, and I'd ask for any variance associated with that, and I apologize.
you.
Yeah, well, don't worry, we'll put it where, we'll put it where we can put it that works within y'all's guidelines.
All right.
Size and all that.
No, we're not. If I come back in there for you, I'm gonna let Mr. Chairman flog me, because I can promise you that we don't like to have to come before the Board of Zoning Appeals, to be honest with you. We try to work within the guidelines. We really do.
We appreciate that.
That's all I have.
Sure.
Kevin, do you have anything else?
I'm looking to see, all right, one thing I am concerned about is that, have you had any pushback from neighbors, and I don't know if these are neighbors up here, about the increased traffic up there?
We have, nobody showed up at the planning commission meeting or the city council meeting. That doesn't mean one of these folks back here doesn't want to talk on that side. I will tell you that was one of Tommy's, he mentioned, I forgot to handle that in my presentation. Elm Street, the planning department was hell-bent on making sure we had 2 access points, and it took us probably 9 months to work it out. We tracked down, because we had tried, we couldn't get a return phone call. But anyways, long story short, someone in the office knew somebody that ended up getting us to the woman that owns the property, and that worked out, because we'll be able to buy that property and make the connection down through that. So I think that sets a completely different feel for the community as well, because you're not a cul-de-sac in and coming back out. It kind of circulates, because it actually probably will be a convenient way for some people to go down to the Greenway as well.
Any other questions?
That's
Thank
right,
you.
I'm good.
Thank you
y'all
very much.
Appreciate your
Do we
time.
have anybody in the audience who wants to speak for or against this project? Okay,
And Tommy, did you have any phone calls? I know you sent letters out to everybody.
No, ma'am. We did the
Right,
notification
and the sign.
including the mail-outs and the signage and that stuff, and I've received 0 questions.
Okay.
with that, I will close the public hearing. Next, we have the consideration, and as always, with a variance, we have 10 items that we must consider. We have to consider these things by law. It's not something that we just ask questions about. This is all is spelled out. We have to find in the affirmative for each one of them. I'll read them, and then we'll start back and we'll go through each one. And if there is any one that we cannot find in the affirmative, the variance cannot be granted. So, just so everyone knows that. And the 10 are this. An unnecessary hardship exists is number 1. Number 2, there are extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to the particular piece of property. Number 3, the conditions do not generally apply to other property in the vicinity. Number 4 is because of these conditions, the application of this chapter to the particular piece of property would effectively prohibit or unreasonably restrict utilization of the property. And number 5, the authorization of a variance will not be of substantial detriment to adjacent property or to the public good, and the character of the district will not be harmed by the granting of the variance. Harm to the character of the district may include structures that are significantly out of scale, and the creation or potential of the creation of excessive noise, light, traffic, or incompatible late-night activity. Number 6, an approval's application for a variance from the provision of Article 13 signs is not applicable here, so we won't even address that one. Number 7 is the Board of Zoning Appeals may not grant a variance in effect which would be to allow the establishment of a use not otherwise permitted in a zoning district, B, to extend the physical and non-conforming use of land, and C, to change zoning district boundaries shown on the official zoning map. Number 8 is if the unnecessary hardship is self-imposed by the applicant, the variance should not be granted. Number 9, the fact that the property may be utilized more profitable should a variance be granted shall not be considered grounds for a variance. And number 10, in granting a variance, the Board of Zoning Appeals may attach to it such conditions regarding the location, character, or other features of the proposed building, structure, or use as the board may consider advisable to promote the public health, safety, or general welfare. And finally, based on these findings of fact, The Board of Zoning Appeals may approve with conditions, or deny the request. So having said all that, we will have the consideration for each one of them. All right. I've got some questions about one or two of them, but we'll get to them. Number one, an unnecessary hardship exists. The applicant states that surrounding zoning is high density and the development of a 20-foot wide townhome provides a step down in density against the more intensive density. Staff notes that some of the adjacent parcels are zoned R5, mixed residential, which would allow for multifamily development and 20-foot lots widths. The applicant has requested a rezoning from R10, medium lot, single-family residential, to R7, small lot, single-family residential, which is the least intensive zoning district that will allow townhouse development. And I'll just note here that staff wrote this before the fact that the applicant has gone to City Council with a request for the zoning, and last night the first reading was approved, and they will have a second reading at the next meeting. And since it was 6-0 last night, I don't see anybody changing their mind, so it looks like that will happen. Number two, there are extraordinary.
We got to talk
We
about
better
it.
we better deliberate this one before we go any further. What's your pleasure on this one?
I would say there is a precedent set for reducing going less than 40, like we discussed. I think the Knollwood one went down as low as 16 feet. It's the minimum lot width. It was like a 16 to 20 foot range. And so there is precedent set. And we've also, the Bradleyville Road was less than 4, Barton Road was less than 40, and West Mortontown Road was less than 40. So.
Well, and I think in each case also, we specified that it couldn't exceed our number, I believe, if I remember right. Most of those cases, and it looks like they're already doing that themselves.
So anyway, I'm good with that.
I'm
Number one.
okay with that one.
Okay. Fine, okay for number one. Okay. Number two, there are extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to the particular piece of property. The applicant states that the geometry of the land does not allow the property to be developed into a single-family detached development because it runs north to south with steep topography. The applicant also states that the varying lot widths will allow the builder to add more step downs in the foundation to better handle changes in the elevation. Staff notes that the lot is elongated, I'll get it right in a minute, from north to south, and the proposed configuration allows the developer to configure more lots in the strip. So what do we think about number two?
I don't like the second bullet, but I'm okay with it, with the rest of it.
You don't like what?
Allowing him to put more lots in there.
See,
That's
you know
just
that-
bad wording, I
You know what
think.
that goes in my brain, you know that.
But that's not, so I'm going along with it, but not because of bullet number 2.
Well, we will address a little bit of that in a minute, but I agree with you on that. Bullet number 2 is really the staff note, so.
Yeah, that's the staff note.
We don't have to even,
Not
as we
considered.
often do, we don't even have to consider them. Jim, you good? Okay, we're okay with number 2. The conditions do not generally apply to any other property in the vicinity. The applicant states that surrounding parcels do not have the same width to length ratio. Staff notes that the lot is elongated from north to south. Y'all like that, don't you? And the proposed configuration allows the developers to configure more lots in the strip, and that some of the surrounding zoning would allow the proposed development. Any comments on this one other than that bullet?
Same comment.
Yeah, I'm okay with number 3, except for that bullet, second bullet.
Okay, item number 4. Because of the conditions, the application of this chapter to the particular piece of property would effectively prohibit or unreasonably restrict the utilization of the property. The applicant states that the 40-foot wide lot requirements make construction of a townhouse difficult and expensive. I don't like that word. The proposed lot widths allow for more marketable and affordable housing options. Staff notes that the 40-foot wide lot requirement makes the construction of a typical townhome difficult. Is that the reason that we're changing it in the new law? It's because it's difficult to administer.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, and the number of variances that we've seen.
Right. We like a broken record on this.
I'm good too, because of the precedent set.
The authorization variance will not be of substantial detriment to adjacent property or to the public good, and the character of the district will not be harmed by the granting of the variance. Harm to the character of the district may include structures that are significantly out of scale and the creation or potential for the creation of excessive noise, light, traffic, or incompatible late-night activity. The applicant states that the lot width variance request will not affect this section. Staff notes that the infill of this lot with townhomes will increase traffic along East Buena Vista Avenue. However, it is similar in keeping with the scale and character of the surrounding multifamily units, and they do have the capability of soon adding a second entrance, right?
Yes, sir.
I think the fact that we haven't heard from anybody,
Well,
you know, we're okay then.
it's obviously going to upgrade the piece of property because there's nothing there now.
Yes, sir.
And I guess is it 69 lots? Is that what it is? That doesn't trip a traffic study or anything like that, does it?
I'll have to look at that.
Seemed like I was thinking 150 was the magic number.
I've got a chart that I'll look at,
Okay.
and it goes by the peak hour. 50 trips during the peak hour, 69 probably doesn't trip it. But before I say that, for sure, I would want to verify that with my
Well,
chart.
what we could do is, if this gets approved, we could add a stipulation that if required, a traffic study must be done.
And Mr. Chairman, if it's required, it's already required, so
Yeah,
it's going to be
okay,
done.
We don't need a condition.
Right.
What's our thoughts on this one, number 5?
I'm good.
I'm fine. I tell you, that whole area up there's just been upgraded with that $1 million house that just sold.
They're messing with the grounds that I used to go hunting and fishing on, I'll tell you that. Number 6, approval of the application for a variance from provisions of the.
We don't do that, signs.
We okay with that one? Number 7, the zoning board of appeals may not grant a variance, the effect of which would be to allow the establishment of use not otherwise permitted in a zoning district. We're not doing that. And B, to extend physical non-conforming use of the land. We're not doing that. And C, to change the zoning district boundaries as shown on the official zoning map, and we're not doing that. So that one is okay. Number 8, if the unnecessary hardship is self-imposed by the applicants, the variance should not be granted. The applicant states that the hardship is not self-imposed, but a result in issues ranging from current market conditions, land topography, parcel geometry, and surrounding land uses. Whatever that means. If he was asking for every lot in there to be 20 foot and that would change it from 69 lots to 100 lots, I'd worry about this being, but he can build this project like it is. And we're not doing anything. We're not adding 1 or 2 more to it, so it's not that big a deal. Good with that? Number 8 is okay. Number 9, the fact that the property may be used more, no, we've already done that one. No, we haven't.
No, we haven't.
The fact that the property may be utilized more profitable should a variance be granted shall not be considered grounds for a variance. I don't know that it can be used more profitably than building townhomes unless it can be used, but
Well,
apartments
it's
in
used
it.
more profitably because if they have, more narrow what width, lot width, they can put more houses on there.
well, my same argument goes with number 8, though,
Right.
is the fact that he's not asking for the entire thing to be done, he's just asking for a few lots. And so he's not adding a lot of lots, he's build the project without it. Be a
Well, when I get old and have nothing to do, I'm already old, but I have plenty to do. I'm gonna go before the legislature and get that variance changed, because it drives me crazy. You have to go before the legislature to get that changed.
Are we okay with that one?
I'm good with that.
Okay, number 10, in granting the variance, the Board of Zoning Appeals may attach to it such conditions regarding the location, character, or other features of the proposed building, structure, or the use as the board may consider advisable to promote the public health, safety, or general welfare. The variance, if granted, will apply only to this property. The variance, if granted, will apply only to the property is successful, only if the property is successfully rezoned from R10 to R7 by City Council, and staff is open to suggestions or other conditions from the board. What say ye here?
Mr. Chairman, another one from the staff that I just thought about is, do you want it to tie it as conceptually shown on concept plan figure 3, what you have up there now?
I would say yes.
And that would be included, that as one of the conditions if you do.
Yes, you are.
100%. We turn in our concept plans, that's what we're gonna build. So we have no problem being bound by this at all. And I really like your idea. We have no problem if you want us to try to group the garages. I think that may add to some, when somebody else comes back up, at least you have a reason why you require some different things. We can try it. We have no problem doing it.
Well, I can't require you, but I think it's a good concept. Every time I
I
see
mean-
one, I tell my wife, if we ever move again, that's where we go.
Well, I
Some
mean,
place that's got a garage and
Tommy
both
probably
sides.
tell you, they could require it, couldn't they?
They could.
I mean, look,
No,
okay.
I don't think,
But no, definitely for the concept plan, we're not gonna change this concept plan.
Right.
If there's something that changes on there, it would have to be, I can't even think of anything that changed. That's why we went ahead and got we originally had this slated to turn in with 2 different access points, and we felt like that was too much variables to get into it, so that's why we kind of held back till we got the second point of access. But I like the idea on that side, for sure. But I mean, we would definitely be 100% bound with this layout. We'd have no problem whatsoever with that.
thank you very much. I guess we're okay with number 10, and the only thing we're gonna add to that would be make sure that you do the plan as conceived here. Do I have a motion that we okay with number 10?
Yes.
Then do I have a motion by our motion maker that, for or against this, please?
All right. Based on the findings previously discussed and voted on, I move that application number ZV 23-010 Hawks Vista, a request by CSRA Development Company for a variance pursuant to sections Article 3, Table 3-3, minimum lot width for the R7 small lot, single-family residential zoning district of the North Augusta Development Code to decrease the minimum lot width be granted with the following conditions. There are 3. Number 1, that this variance will apply only to this property. Number 2, this variance will apply only to the property, only if the property is successfully rezoned from R10 to R7 by City Council. And number 3, the submitted plan will be consistent with the conceptual plan shown in the variance application.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have some discussion? I have one question. I guess it will be addressed when the plans actually go before city council, not city council, but the planning commission, is there are some apartments on that, up at the beginning that they will back up to it. Are there gonna be some requirements for, buffer of some sort?
There will be. I don't know what that will be right now, but it will be.
Okay. We won't mess with the motion then, because if you can assure us, Mr. Paradise, that it's looked at, okay. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Pass unanimous. Welcome to North Augusta again, sir. All right.
Tommy, I have a question.
Yes,
And, when did we start using parcel geometry instead of parcel geography?
Don't know.
You don't know.
Didn't know we had changed. Where did we make that change at? In the staff
There's some
report?
geometry, it says geometry in a couple
It says
places.
geometry in here, but I haven't ever seen that term used for, and actually looked up the difference in geometry and geography today. And geometry is a flat plane, but the earth is not flat, and so most of the time it's considered geography because that's on a curved plane.
Where did we use that verbiage?
Several times.
Was it in this past?
Number 8, second bullet point. And then, there were at least 2 places, and I just had never seen that before. It's either been topography or geography. And it said geometry, so when I first saw it, I thought it was a typo, and then it was in, so.
I think, and Cully did the report, but what she's referring to there is the shape of the parcel, not the,
Well, that's what I figured, but we've never used that term before, that's why it just, trivial, but it's,
I get you. It's the
I just
English
figured it
teacher.
was something that they added since Mr. Paradise came on. I wasn't sure. All right, the next request we have is number 6, which is ZV23011. It's a request by North Augusta Jiffy Lube for a variance from the minimum lot frontage requirement, Table 3-3, dimensional standards of Article 3, zoning districts in the North Augusta Development Code. The application affects a subdivision of an existing automobile service and repair station located at 140 Laurel Lake Drive, tax district number 0101808-001. It's approximately 0.42 acres zoned general commercial GC and within the HC Highway Corridor District Overlay. I will open it up now for the public hearing.
Mr. Chairman, this is, y'all may be familiar with this lot.
think we
It
are.
was,
We are.
there was a variance request, and the order's included in the packet up so that you had the full history, where they were developing a Diablo's and a Jiffy Lube on the same parcel.
Right.
And this is a request to split that parcel out. This is the subject parcel over on your left, as we call it today.
Right.
This is more or less how it's built out. And parcel 1 is the Jiffy Lube, which has street frontage. Parcel 2 does not have any street frontage. This access here is an easement. And so, for us to subdivide off this parcel, it needs a variance because it doesn't have any street frontage. Now, one of the things that I've looked at or asked staff about is the impact on the 2 parcels split. We had a site plan that was approved for the construction of both the Jiffy Lube and the Diablos.
Right.
The Jiffy Lube was completed. Diablos, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right, was started, and then stalled. And I don't know what caused that. The applicant may be able to give you some information there. But if you cut this parcel off of this parcel is fully capable and meets the requirements of standing alone. And I'm talking about the impervious surface, landscaping, that type of thing. This one never got finished, so we don't know if they'll finish that, or is it going to be a different application and they scrape what's there and start over. We really don't know what that is. Of course, there'll need to be an agreement with this property owner to give access to this property owner across this way for ingress and egress. That wasn't necessary when same owner owned both parcels. But that is the issue. The other issue is, okay, if we cut this one off, we've got an off-site sign that's been approved over here. And we did permit the Diablo sign out there because it was under construction. And that's not untypical. This one was opening first, sign guy comes in, and you know, it's a one permit. But now the Diablo sign will be either not there at all, or it'll be off-site, which is prohibited by the development code. So that's something
Well, we've already approved that sign to be there, hadn't we?
you have, but when you did that, it was on the same lot of record that the sign was on. Now, the sign is not going to be on the lot of record if you approve the subdivision.
Because the same owner was going to open both of them.
Correct. And it was the same lot. So that is something to take in, you know, we give that to you as information in case, you know, because that's just part of the facts. So that's kind of where we're situated with it.
We're not in a position that we can mandate, let's just say we found that everything was good and we could grant the variance. There's no way we can mandate that they must let the Jiffy Lube people have ingress and egress out across
Correct.
their property, is there?
Well, yeah, it could be a condition of approval. No street frontage here.
Would that requirement just be non-applicable? Instead of requiring a waiver or a variance?
What
In
you
other
mean?
words, since there's no street frontage,
Mm-hmm.
there's no requirement then, is that right?
No, it's the lot is required to have street frontage.
So
That road behind it is driveway. It's not street. It's not a publicly owned street. Now, Laurel Lake is,
That is like the frontage road, so to speak,
Yeah.
isn't it?
that's Laurel Lake right there.
Right.
No, sir. It's not a public street. It is not a private street. It's been a driveway. You can certainly, I'm sure there's easements and all of that stuff there, and I'm sure they've been before you for the access off of there. Well, but when you look at McDonald's, let's go back up here. When you look at McDonald's, here, they have street frontage here. The ordinance doesn't say you have to have access off that public road. Yeah, it doesn't say that your street has to come in, but you have to have the ability to get a curb cut there. That's why we don't count the exit ramp as street frontage, because there's no way.
Have a curb cut.
Yeah, there's no way you could get access there. And the intent of the ordinance is basically to provide make sure we have access to all the parcels that we subdivide. And in this case, you know, it's at the end of the drive, and so there technically won't be a street frontage.
Whose drive is it?
Driveway is that?
Whose driveway is it?
I do not know. That's an excellent question. I didn't ask that one. The applicant should be able to, provide you with some insight there.
Is the applicant here? Could you come down, please? Would you state your name and address, please?
My name is Mengdi Chi, and I'm from Cranston. I'm representing my client, Mr. Joe Lamos.
Okay.
And my address is 452 Alice Street, Augusta, 30901.
Thank you. Would you raise your right hand, please? You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Tell us something about, is that a public driveway? Is it a private driveway? Who does that belong to? And obviously, somebody's maintaining it, and you've also got a place of business that is using it.
I'm sorry, I don't actually know the answer yet, but I think I have to do some further research on this. But from what I heard, it is a private driveway, I think. But I think all the business here share the use of this road. So,
I'm Lauren Alexander. I'm at 341 Landing Drive, North Augusta.
Will you raise,
Yes, sir.
you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
What can you tell us about what's going on?
So this is an access easement. So basically, there is a legal agreement that we are able to use this road. So typically, that means that we are part of maintaining that road.
A legal agreement between.
That's the thing.
parties.
I'm not sure who else is part of that, but I know we are part of that, and we do have access. to that.
Who are you? Are you?
Our client is Joel Lamoth, so he owns the Jiffy Lube. He owns the whole parcel.
And he is selling the,
I don't believe so.
He's-
He basically, corporate Jiffy Lube has requested that he splits all his properties. We're doing this in Columbia County, Richmond,
yeah.
and Aiken County. And that's just in case something happens and corporate has to take over his Jiffy Lube, that any other properties that he has developed, or any other developments he has on that property, there's no future complications with that.
So the main thing we're trying to do here with this variance is like we are trying to subdivide this parcel and make the Jiffy Lube contains in its own parcel, because the Jiffy Lube Corporation kind of asking for it, contains in its own parcel. So let the lands associated with the business itself.
At Laurel Lake homeowners or Laurel, so whoever developed that, whoever developed that then owns that.
Right here.
Yeah, it's on there.
And I would like to just add, typically businesses, I mean, obviously, the Jiffy Lube and whatever this parcel 2 becomes, they are gonna want their customers to be able to get to their property. So they do have an interest in keeping that area maintained.
So I'm still confused about what you're asking, what part we play in this.
We have to, they're asking us to give them the right to divide the property.
The code requires that this parcel, whenever it's one parcel, it required in the general commercial 50 feet of street frontage. You have that here. When you subdivide, when you put a property line here, this parcel that's left no longer has the 50 feet street frontage that's required. It'll come off this private drive. Now, that's the bottom line, is do you think it's appropriate to allow them access off this private drive, which, to be honest with you, that's where they were getting the access from here. It's just that they had the frontage here.
Right.
So, is it a net zero? I don't know. That's y'all's decision to make.
But nobody's asking, no one has bought that second piece of property, have they?
Correct. And as far as I know, Joel Lamoth is still going to own it. It's really just for future. If anything happened, like if something happens to him, God forbid, and corporate has to come and take over, they just don't want to have the complications of his previous development associated with that Jiffy Lube. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Correct.
So you're asking, I'm talking out loud here.
Well, this is a public hearing. You can say
Thinking out
anything.
loud
Yeah.
here, that we are, we're concerned about, we're trying to help somebody in the future that's not there yet. Is that what I don't understand why we have to do this now.
Because they want to subdivide this, they want to make this 2 lots. Right now it's
Right.
1.
Right.
And if they bring a plat into the planning department for us to sign off on, to subdivide these into 2 lots, we cannot do that. Because we would be creating a non-conforming parcel.
The second lot wouldn't have
Street
access.
frontage, right. So we would not be able to approve the plat. So if you grant the variance, then we can approve the plat and they can do this. If- Mhm. Mhm.
Correct.
That was
Yes,
my
sir.
question too.
You can do that.
Right.
Mhm. Mhm. Well, that is why we bring the sign question in, is because, yes, they would be allowed to have a sign on this parcel here. On Laurel Lake. You're right. It would not be allowed to be out here unless y'all granted them a variance. And right now, we don't really know what's going on here because work has stopped.
We've already granted them a variance to have that sign out there,
You have.
hadn't we?
You did.
We
Yeah,
did,
we
yes.
did.
And that is part of the conditions that the city is recommending, is that the Diablo's portion of that sign
Stay.
go away.
Oh, go away.
Yeah, because we don't know if this is going to be finished or not. If they were, and by go away,
I know
what I'm talking about doing is changing that panel out,
Right.
not taking the sign down and that kind of
Right,
stuff.
just taking Diablo's name off of it.
But right now, Diablo's is getting, we always try to be real fair in our signage, and it can be real tricky sometimes. Here, we approved that permit because the permit for the construction was ongoing. Like I said, it made sense. Well, the Diablo's stalled. It's not there. We don't have any indication that it's going to be finished. But every time somebody rides by there, Diablo's has advertising there. So just Tommy Paradise's thought, it would be a reasonable condition, since you're splitting these properties off, and that's going to be a separate parcel now, to make that a condition of approval, is that they blank that Diablo's off. Yes, but I don't think so in this meeting.
Well,
Because that has not been advertised.
I
But-
think there's so much that we don't know about what's going on here. I think we need a little legal advice about, we have the right to grant Jiffy Lube the right to go across Diablo from now on. If you split it up, I mean, we may have that right. I mean, that may not be a problem. I also think we better find out who owns that driveway, as we call it, or is that a street? Is that in the county or the city?
I believe it's in the city. Mr. Summers, could I give you a suggestion?
Yes, sir.
What you may want to do is continue it and and I'm just thinking here, I'm spending people's money again, but let the applicant bring back a copy of the agreement providing ingress and egress on the Laurel Lake Drive, and also,
The sign.
and also an agreement that would give access to the Jiffy Lube parcel through the vacant parcel, so that you know that that is in place.
Right.
Whoever buys that piece of property would know that that's a given.
Correct. That would go with that, and it's recorded and legally binding and stuff. Now, I'm not an attorney. That's just, that seems to be the question that y'all have. And then, the sign issue, however y'all decide you want to handle that.
To the applicant, I appreciate the fact that y'all want to get this done, and we would love to do it for you, but we need a little more information in concrete, not just what you understand or what he understands and what we read on the internet. We need to know how they're going to get in and out of there, how Jiffy Lube's going to get in and out of there, and what that's...
And what kind of agreement is it? It's a legal agreement, but, I mean, is it in perpetuity, or is it to 2030, or?
Yeah, I will say, one thing I know for sure is that if the parcel is split, that easement would be granted. Just, the owner owns both, so he's gonna grant himself access. I know for a fact that will be done. But to your point, who owns that other thing, I honestly don't have that information. And if we wanna bring it back.
Yeah,
I just feel odd.
Yeah,
There's a blur at the end of my tunnel here,
Yeah, no, I understand.
I think we need
That's a good point.
to either continue this or table it until next meeting and give you 30 more days to see if you can put some more information together for us. Is that asking too much for you?
No. Sorry, I saw something else on this plat.
Okay.
Are y'all attorneys representing him?
No, they are
No.
engineers.
Yeah.
Okay. I was gonna say, give us a legal reading.
There is a legal description on here, but I think that's parcel 1 and parcel 2, so that doesn't have anything to do with that easement.
So we will just
Yeah, I don't see anything else.
continue this until next meeting and give you 30 days.
Our sound engineer needs something.
Oh, no. Okay.
Yeah, it's the sound guy. Something he's looking at. Maybe he's in the camera.
Does sound on the side. Do you understand
Yeah,
our confusion and our reticence to do this?
Yeah.
It doesn't look like a problem just to separate the two, but there's some
Right.
issues that go with
I
that that we
understand.
need
You
to
want
understand.
to see it in writing before
Right.
you grant
They're engineers. They're used to the planning.
I
People
know.
saying, show me.
Right.
No offense.
Okay, so do we need to, what do we need to do to continue? Just direct that?
Make a motion to continue till.
Can I
the
have a
next
motion,
meeting.
please, to continue this to the next meeting? Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye. Motion passed. Public hearing closed.
So we will have a meeting then in November.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
And you'll have a work session too,
yeah, you have a work session too.
or your elections, yeah.
No, the election's in December.
December,
Oh, okay.
true.
Well,
I
that's
forgot to put that on the calendar. It's the week of Thanksgiving.
All right,
Yes, the
Do we
week
have
after
anything else?
Thanksgiving on Wednesday.
anything else, before we
The
adjourn?
week after Thanksgiving.
I have one thing, Tommy, that I would like for your planning department to look into.
Yes, sir.
At 950 Campbellton Drive.
You don't like the scenery over there?
There have been 2 wrecked automobiles put in the front yard, on the grass, up next to the house.
Flat tires.
No, this one was hit
I know it was.
over town and drug back over here with a wrecker and put in his front yard.
We will work that.
Something seems to be wrong with that picture. I'd like for you to look into that for me.
We will take a look at
The
that.
neighbors have
probably
asked me
tomorrow.
to look into it, so I'm asking you. Anything else before we adjourn?
Mr. Chairman, I do have one thing.
Yes, sir.
I would remind y'all that we have training scheduled for the Wednesday after Thanksgiving.
It's Wednesday.
Yes, ma'am. And that will be from 6 to 9. We will have, I can't think of her name, but the same lady that did it last year will be coming to do it. So if you can be there, that would be very helpful. Mr. Summers, I don't know if you're going to be there or not, but I haven't heard anything back from you and one of the planning commissioners, but hopefully y'all will be able to make it as well.
Well, if I don't need to come, I won't be there.
All right, I understand.
I'll just leave it at that for the time being,
Yes, sir.
6 o'clock on the 29th.
till we find
6
out what
o'clock.
our mayor says.
Yes, sir.
Anything else? Meeting adjourned. Thank you.